We're just about to make a presentation now, ladies and gentlemen. So can we have attention for the next couple of minutes, please? Thank you. Have a bit of attention now, please, ladies and gentlemen, for the captain. Thank you.
Reverend Fathers, Lady Captain, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 7th night of our open week. It's a long week, and we decided that we would present most of the prizes tonight. But before we present the prizes, I would like to, I have a list here, she is coming before, to thank our Lady Captain for all the work she has done this week. And I would also like to thank the Lady Secretary, Peggy McGreevy, and BYRNE, who came forward to buy the prizes, and I think they're as good as we have had any year. I would like to thank John Gallagher for coming out here tonight. The reason I asked John Gallagher out here tonight was, and I asked him the question himself, that the golf club is here, we have the facility, and there's an awful lot of people in Ballaghaderreen that don't even know that it exists. And maybe when they show this on television, that it might encourage more people to come out and play. I would like to thank our sponsors. We have some very generous sponsors this year, if I may say so. And there are a few sponsors in particular I think I should mention. Shannon Side, the past captain of ours, sent a sponsorship from England, Mick Reynolds, who was substantial. And Sean Coleman, BYRNE's brother. We also had fantastic sponsorship from the Bank of Ireland and from ITM. And ITM want to sponsor us for 2 days next year. And they said that the prizes that they gave us this year were nothing in comparison to what we're going to give next year. They are going to cover the mix next year on the papers and with their own advertising, and they intend over the years to make it a big event. We had a lot of competitors for the week. We have one here from Canada, one from America. We had them from all over. And I'd say they all enjoyed themselves very well. We had a fantastic crowd from Ballyhaunus, even though I say so myself. Their support was fantastic, and we really appreciate it. We always support Ballyhaunus well, and I'm not singling out Ballyhaunus for mention, but I think they deserve it. Our numbers would have been way down only for the arrival, but we were glad to have them. Yeah. I would like to commiserate with all the people who didn't win any prizes this week. Our entries were up. We're up 40 people, players, on this night last year, and that's a good sign. You know, there were very few winners, of course, out of all those, but you go, you win some and you lose some. You win a couple of times. There's one thing I would like to say before we start the presentation of the prizes, and I said it here one night before. I got in to see a friend of mine in Ballaghaderreen one day, and we were talking in the kitchen, and I said to him, you know, I said, how's the baby getting on? He said, oh, she's in here, she's fine. So I went in to see her, and the baby was lying in the cot, and I said, gee, she's great. You know, this child has been very sick. Oh, he said she's great, she lived now, but she'll be paralysed from the waist down. Now, the reason I'm saying that is that we're all here today. We were all playing golf during the week, and it's the year of the disabled, and we probably tend to forget about it. But we're very lucky people to be able to come out here, whether we win or lose, or play bad golf or good golf. I think that, you know, that we should be thankful for that. And there is one particular person from Carrick and Shannon who plays here, a husband and wife team. She's a elderly lady, and she has a deformity, and she plays very well. So, I mean, you don't have to be perfect to play golf. But that's all I'd like to say about that. You know, it's just a thought for the year that we should be very thankful to have our help. Now, before we get to the prizes given, there's a last putter here today. If anybody found it on the 7th green, it belonged to somebody in our street. So with that, I think we will start the presentation of the prizes. And if I left out anybody, I'm sorry, but we'll start with the first day, Saturday the 20th, 18 horsepower sportsmen. First prize went to Ballyhaunus, to Vincent Crane and M. Mahoney.
Michael and I played in this last year, and I think we had 75 goals from Michael's playing on the bench, something like 20 or something like that. 17 correctly, and he said, we'll go to another goal this next year. And I had forgotten completely about it, but Michael tells me on Friday night, he says, we're playing in Ballon tomorrow. the Scotch and we're going to win it. I didn't believe him, but we did. And thank you very much, Mike. He played super golf. He played a golf that night. And I didn't believe him at the time, and he was true to his word. So thank you very much.
Second prize went to Walter Keane and Eugene Madden.
Well done, Eugene.
I've had this class turn. Congratulations. And third prize went to M. Henry and B. Costello, Roscommon. On that evening we had a ladies 9-hole competition. It was originally for 36 handicappers, but we didn't think we'd have that many playing, so the winner of the 36 handicap was Mary HANNON. From the official handicaps then, well, Mary Brennan was first. That saved Mary taking my hair dryer on me now. Second prize went to Anne Maher. Sunday, the 21st, was the 18-hole 4-ball. First prize went to Monsignor Bambrick and Eugene Madden again. They're not here. Second prize went to Father Andy Johnson and Father Tom Caderi. Another kiss here. Third prize, would you believe it, went to Father Andy Johnson and Con Fenn. There was on that evening we had a ladies 9-hole competition. First prize went to Monica O'Connor. Second prize went to Ashley Madden. On Monday we had a 9-hole Stableford, and first prize went to Jim O'Kelly.
You can't get a Jim. Rubbish.
Second prize went to Monsignor Bambrick. We had a ladies 9-hole Stapleford, and it went to Mrs. G. Hogan, Carrington Shannon. Second prize went to BYRNE, our lady Tuesday, 18-hole stroke. First prize went to Martin Hannon.
Yes, what's going on?
Second went to J. Mar in Dundalk. And third prize again went to Father Andy Johnson.
So he wanted to pull about 4 shots.
And the gross on that day went to Freddie McLaughlin. We had an 18 to 24 competition. Eddie O'Reilly's always looking for them and he didn't play. Oh, he did. And that was won by Joe Bambrick.
Where's Joe?
And on that evening we had ladies 9-hole competition again, and the winner was Agnes Cassidy.
Big kiss.
Second prize went to Peggy McGreevy. Yes. On Thursday we had a men's 9-hole stroke. Oh, sorry, the ladies, of course, there. Oh, the ladies, sorry, yeah, the presentation was made yesterday by ITM. We had a men's 9-hole stroke yesterday evening, and first prize went to Tom Young.
Right.
Well done.
Second prize went to Joe Noonan. And the third prize went to Canada, to Sean Frayne.
You can imagine all the bullshit that I'm going to hear me say when I go back home and say, I want to win national prize.
On Wednesday we had a 18-hole Stapleford, and the first prize on that day was Freddie McGowan. Second prize, Freddie just beat him actually, to a very popular winner, John O'Connor.
No kiss then. No.
Third prize went to the McGovern family again. Harold McGovern was third.
Freddie, you ever stay there?
The bronze went to Adrian Wynne Boyle. And the 18 to 24 handicap was won again by Joe Bambi. What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? That's it, that's up to So all that remains to be presented are today's prizes, and I would like to ask Quentin Donnelly, Assistant Manager of the Bank of Ireland, Ballaghaderreen, to present the prizes.
Overdraft, credit squeeze.
Mr. Captain, Lady Captain, Reverend Fathers, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the committee of the Golf Club for inviting me out tonight to present the prizes, which were donated by the Bank of Ireland, the only bank in town. Yes. But I hear in the wind that there is a certain couple coming back to town, And I understand that everybody will have to sharpen their sword, so to speak, because they may be the recipients of prizes at this time next year. Now, unfortunately, I'm not one to speak, but whenever I listen to somebody speaking, they always tell a joke, and unfortunately, I have to tell a joke too, you have to listen to it. There was this fellow by the name of Jack, who used to drink 3 pints and 3 half ones every day at 12 o'clock in a certain pub. And this was going on for a number of years. And the barman said to him one day, he said, "Listen, Jack, why do you drink 3 pints and 3 half ones every day at exactly 12 o'clock? And he said, "The reason why I do it is that I have 2 brothers, and one has gone to America and one has gone to England. And we decided we drink our health every day at exactly the same time, and we drink 3 of each." So that went on, as I say, for a number of years, and then one day he came in and he only called for 2. And of course the barman naturally assumed, like everybody else would assume, that one of the brothers had died. And he was kind of very discreet about it, and he said, "Listen, Jack, I notice you're only drinking 2 today. Has someone died?" "Oh," he said, "no, I'm off for Lent." Now, having said that,
the winners of today's competition, I just can't call them out here.
Martin Hannon and Peggy McGree.
Yeah.
Get them off, Peggy.
One will do.
Continue on.
Second prize.
Tommy Owen and Ann Mara.
Oh, well done.
Well done, boy.
Over the other side of the country's overrun.
Not here. Well done.
Third prize, Freddie and Everett McGowan.
You have to be one of the 4 shots this week. Another hold.
Rose, Bernie Byrne and Jim O'Kelly. How did you vote?
You grab it, Bernie.
Thanks, Vincent.
Visitors prize, Pat Brady and Mike Lewis.
We're very much in that first
Two nines for Eileen and Eugene Madden. Eileen. The second line, Eamon and Tish.
We have one final prize left for tonight, and it was for 53 points Stableford, and you have the card signs. So on account of having that score, we decided that we would give him a prize. I'm sure the Bank of Ireland staff will have to explain this to Michael Bailey. That's the end of tonight's presentation, and we still have 2 days golf left. We have step for tomorrow. We have 4-1 power on Sunday, and the 9-hole mix on Sunday evening, and we have music on Sunday night, on the closing night as well, and we have music tonight, so I hope you all enjoy yourself. Thank you.
was different. The tide was slowly fade away. The tide has begun by the coast. Oh, the day those tender arms beside me, my joy was more than words could ever say. And God, I'm still, it grows and grows inside me. I love you, remember you're mine. I'll be lonely, I'll be blue, but I'll promise that I'll be true. I know I'll miss you and the wonderful time. Just remember, darling, remember you're mine. When the snow comes back to the stars, that's the day you promised you'd come back to me. When we whisper farewell and canvas snow, that's the day you prayed you to the sea. Oh, jingle bells will ring, the fishing choir will sing, the happiness you bring will live in my memory. When the swan come back to the sky, that's the day I pray you come back to me. Good night and finish off with a Jimmy Kennedy thing called Red Sails in the Sunset. Red sails in the sunset, way out on the sea. Oh, carry my home, home safely to me. She said that the Tony, all day I've been blue. Red sails in the sunset, I'm trusting in you. Swimming with my soul, blow straight off the shore. We'll be married tomorrow, and we go sailing along. Red sails in the sunset, way out the sea. Oh, carry my love on. Oh, says he to me. Gentlemen, that's all for now. Next is coming soon. Thank you.
You left.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So first up, we'd like to see you back on the phone again for a few chapters. Nicole, Bill Bailey, won't you please come home? Won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Won't you come home? I've brought home love. I'll do good honey. I'll say that. You know you're gonna love me more. Remember that rain. You turned me on. Living on the line to come. Well, I know I like to blame. Ain't that a shame? Won't you please come home? You're the boy, get the phone. Won't you come home, baby? Won't you come home? I've brought home love. I'll do good honey. I'll say that. Do you remember that rain? You turned me on. Living on the line to come. Well, I know I'm to blame. Ain't that a shame? Well, baby, won't you please come home? Well, let that rain run on, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Well, let that rain run on, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. She said, patient little man, right towards the day. I'm looking for you, baby. Baby, such my baby, when you see things my way. Baby, I will be the same. Well, there's the phone with a kiss, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Well, there's the phone with a kiss, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Plenty more of the flowing jets. Here goes Nicole, time shift and everything. There was a time when I loved no other, and we sang our own refrain. One hope you know I love you so. Can't you feel it when we touch? I will never, never let you go. You thrill me oh so much. We'd like to see if you're all ladies and gentlemen, don't be shy. Here we go, come on now, plenty of room there. To do a bit of the 60s on and the Cascades they call the rhythm of the rain. Listen to the rhythm on the phone, right? Tell me just what food like that. I'm just in a book going, let me quiet and bathe, and let me be alone again. Oh, the only girl I hear about is going away, looking for the first stone. But now that she noticed since she left that day, the longer she took my heart. Raining for the coming of the statue, for her to love carrying some flyers over for our next session coming up soon. Thank Ladies and gentlemen, some more time audience, we'd like to see somebody out on the floor this time dancing, please, Nicole. Somewhere my way. Somewhere along, there will be songs to sing. Who's come to me? I don't know long ago. There for you. That's all for now. Your next session is coming up soon. Thank you. Yesterday is better gone, and tomorrow's out of sight, and instead to be alone, help me make it through the night, and instead to be alone, please help me make it through the night. Really, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can manage more than 2 couples on the floor now. Come on, let's have another view. Here we go. Come on, don't be shy. Plenty of room here on the floor. I was standing at my window on a cold, lonely day. So I saw there's nothing more for the merry little way. Although the circle beyond broken, there's a better way to make the sky. the circle beyond broken. Bye, 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 bye. There's a better way in the sky, in the sky. There's a better way in the sky, in the sky. I do enjoy all those ladies in a big ball. You stayed on for too long. You stayed up for too long. Yes, you stayed up for too long. So, ladies and gentlemen, your next session comes soon. Thank you very much.
Actually, I think because all I do.
How much time do you have between your flight and that
And we make this one a lady's choice. Okay. My heart is breaking, although I knew that you're right. So I belong to you. We still don't have what you and I said. No, it's not, but it's not bad. No, Turn to her when you need your love. Sometimes when you're here or you're still gone, she's slowly changing what you need so sad. I know it's enough, but it's not better. I know it's enough, but it's not enough, and it keeps love from running me down. And I don't have to wonder who she's sad. I know it's enough, but it's not bad. I know it's enough, but it's not bad. Okay, we finish off now with a nice thing called My Best Friend. You play string on my finger. You know I never know. You gave a life to our friend and to me a reason to go on. You're my friend, you're my shelter in trouble. You're my anchor in life's ocean, and most of all, you're my best friend. You're my friend when I'm lonely. You're my shelter in trouble. You're my anchor in life's ocean. But most of all, you're my best friend. But most of all, you're my best friend. Tonight I'm making my body shaking. Tonight I'm coming back home. Tonight there's no but he's in my bed. Tonight I'm coming back home. Tonight is after right close. My hair is dripping like never before. My feelings I can't handle sinking. Since all that my pride was outside home, she walks through the door. For it's like kiss to her love, for that face, her eyes, tonight, first for that night. And I church from the time first after night from dark till dawn goes away. I thought you was taking 2 months of breaking the body and waiting down. I find right, there's no time for hate. When I long to see fading the woman I want so well. I played with pretty flowers to dry thanks to my face and I bed. I'm never sent trembling, caught in the way she tosses her head. I'd give every thought to the bad to have more control over my life. How can I fight? How can I deny this void of hide the love that I have for my life? Carmen, Carmen, Carmen. And I lived a free life overall. From the Murray Stream Basin to the dusty outback, I was my Matilda all over. Then in 1915, my country said, son, it's time to stop rambling, there's work to be done. And they gave me a tin hat and they gave me a gun, and they sent me away to the war. And the band played Waltzing Matilda as the ship pulled away from the quay, and amid all the tears, flag waving and cheers, we sailed off for Gallipoli. How well I remember that terrible day when our blood stained the sand and the waters, and how in that hell that they call Sula Bay we were butchered like lambs at the slaughter. Johnny Turk, he was ready, oh he planned himself well. He rained us with bullets and he showered us with shell. And in 5 minutes flat, we were all blown to hell. Nearly blew us back home to Australia. And the band played Waltzing Matilda as we stopped to bury our slain. And we buried ours, and the Turks buried theirs, and it started all over again. Now those who were living just tried to survive in that mad world of blood, death and fire. And for 10 weary weeks I kept myself alive, though all around me the corpses piled higher. Then a big Turkish shell knocked me arse overhead, and when I awoke in my hospital bed, so white had done that I wished I were dead. Never knew there were worse things than dying. For no more I'll go waltzing Matilda all around the green bush far and near. For the Huntington pegs a man needs both legs, no waltzing Matilda for me. They collected the wounded, the crippled, the maimed, and the shipped us back home to Australia. The armless, the legless, the blind, the insane, those proud wounded heroes of Sula. And when the ship sailed into Circular Quay, I looked at the place where my legs used to be, and thank Christ there was no one there waiting for me to grieve and to mourn and to pity. And the band played waltzing Matilda as they carried us down the gangway, and nobody cheered, they just stood there and stared, and they all turned their faces away. So now every April I sit on my porch and I watch the parade pass before me. I see the old woman and gold together to the best glory. I see the old men all tired, stiff and sore, the weary old heroes of a forgotten war, and the young people asked what are they marching for, and I've asked myself the same question, and the band plays waltzing Matilda, and the young men still answer the call, but year after year their numbers get fewer, then they no one will march their ball. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda with me. Their ghosts may be heard as they march by the telephone. Oh, come, oh, waltzing Matilda with me.
So you're only
has faded in the valley, and soon the time has come when we must be apart. But like the rose that comes back in the springtime, you will return to bring the summer to my heart. Still, white rose bloom Goodbye to the
it must be your turn.
No, it isn't.
There were times in the days gone by when I thought having fun with the things I knew. Now it seems my life's changed completely from the moment I met you. Come what may, I will love you forever, and forever my life belongs to you. Come what may, for as long as I'm breathing, I'll be waiting for you. Now I know I would love to meet you. When I met you, I knew me what to do. Come what may, in a world of changes, nothing changes my love for you. Now you're here, everything is true. You are and I long for you to stay. Come what may, I will love you forever, and forever my heart belongs to you. Come what may, for as long as I'm breathing, I now I know I would love to meet you. When I met you, come what may, in a world of changes, nothing changes my love for you.
Say so, it's been good, so it's been good, so it's been good to know you. It's a long time since I've been home, and I've got to live alone. Gentlemen, thank you very much for dancing, Janine and Vinny. We'll see you some dancing again. In the meantime, good night, God bless you, PJ and the Spanish sound. I will see you again next Sunday night. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
So you want some more raffles? Sure, do it.
A lot of I just
John, I think one of us. Yes.